Hi, my name is Rihanna Binkley. I am the project manager for this oral history project, and I work with One Treasure Island.
My name is Shiante Lewis. I'm the senior director of the YMCA on Treasure Island, and I work for the YMCA.
Right. So today is Tuesday, April 12th, just after 10 a.m. And this is for the Treasured Stories, the Oral Histories of Treasure Island from 1997 to present project. Okay, let's just start out at the beginning. So when was the first time you went to Treasure Island?
Oh man, the first time I went to Treasure Island was probably in one of my early days of the YMCA career. I was probably between 2009 and 2012 was probably the first time I went there, because I didn't even know there was a Y on the island until I took the job at the Embarcadero YMCA. I honestly didn't even know much about the island growing up here, besides the fact that my friend's mom used to go to Treasure Island for training because she was in the reserves, and they would go there and do some training on the island. But I never went there. I thought, in my opinion, in my brain, we weren't allowed to go. She did it because she was in the Army Reserves or Navy Reserves, all those things. And for me, it was just, okay, you're going there. Like, she went to Travis. So for me, I didn't really step foot on there and realize there were people living there, and there was a YMCA there until one of the summers that I took a job, and they needed us to go do something because it was raining, and they had us just go to the YMCA on the island. And at that time, the Y was only open maybe 2 days a week. It was something ridiculous. I don't know.
So what were your thoughts? What were your first thoughts about the island and what was going on out there at that time?
Well, the first time I went out there, it was a little scary to me because I'm just about to go to the middle of the bay. Like, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But then, we're on the school bus with some kids, and as when we get on, and that's when you used to be able to like turn right and go a different way. It's not this single lane road and things like that. When I got out there, I didn't realize at the time there was no store out there. There was nothing but houses in the far back and the big Tita building when you first come in, and it felt like the YMCA in the back and all these like abandoned buildings. I thought, one, why didn't I know people lived out here? And two, what's going on out here? Like, why is there no store? Why is there no, like, there was really nothing but that first little booth when you first came in. So I thought, well, I don't know what I thought. I thought, where the hell was I going? Type of thing. Where are we bringing kids? I think that's what I can remember thinking at the time.
So then what ended up bringing you out there in a more permanent sense?
So then at the time I was only with the Y for the summers. And then once in 2012, someone convinced me that I should stay and work with the Y. And at the time, I think her name was Megan. At the time, there was Megan working at the Y on the island the 2 days that it was there. Didn't really have any affiliation with it. And then as I moved up, I met other directors. This director named Kareem used to run the Treasure Island YMCA, and he was very passionate about what was happening in the community, and we'll talk about it more. And although I didn't go out there a lot, I started to learn and understand what he was doing out there. Like, he was doing church stuff. He was getting teens in the program. He was trying to open it up more than 2 days a week, which was pretty cool. But it wasn't until, actually, I take it back. So then I became the senior director I still a senior director, but for specifically the Embarcadero instead of Treasure Island. And I supervised the previous director out there, which was Justin. And I came out there a little bit, and we changed from being open 5 days a week we changed from being open 2 days a week to 5 days a week, and tried to do a little bit more and like supported him and his vision. But to be honest, I didn't do a good job of getting out there to see what he was actually doing. And then when he left, we kept interviewing and trying to find the right person to go out there, because he talked, from him and Kareem talking so passionately about the community and trying to invest in like get grants and more money from TIDA to invest in the Y and build it up. I'm like, we need a unique person to go out there. And although we interviewed a lot of people, we couldn't find anyone. And at the time in that previous senior director role, I was feeling like I wanted to leave the Y and I needed a change because it was a lot. So then I decided, I'm like, well, I know I hear a lot about this community. It sounds like the work that I came into the Y to do. Let me take a stab at it. So I decided that I was going to step down from senior director and just become the director at Treasure Island. And it had to be the best move I made in my career.
That's awesome. So what's different about the Y on Embarcadero and the Y on Treasure Island? Not like building wise, but like why was the experience so different? Because they're fairly close, like as a crow flies. But
I feel like at the Y on the island, you are actually in the community and doing the work that we promote that we want to get done, versus at Embarcadero, we serve community programs, but nothing is specifically in that location. Like being on the island, having the Y on the island, being around the community, understanding and being able to listen to them, being able to partner with so many organizations that supporting one common goal, getting to know the people, we know all the kids' names that are in our after school program, or majority of the kids on the island, even if they're not in our program. You get to know the majority of the residents, whereas Embarcadero just feels like it's a machine, a revolving door. People come in to work out, people come to summer camp, you might see them again next summer or you won't. But at the Y on the island, you're in a community where people actually live, and you're getting to hear them. And they come in there, like Melanie come in there and talk to me about all kind of stuff, right? And you get to be a part of her life and understand her. And then she goes back and talks to you, or you work with Lysandra, who's not only on the board, but a part of parent council. And then, we plan help, like right now we're helping plan an event that's coming up for Easter. So all those things, you get to be kind of hands-on and in the thick of it. It's instead of feeling like you're a machine and just trying to get through the day by day. So I think that's the biggest difference for me out there. And it also, like, I enjoy being a part of the community. I enjoy like building things up. And when I first got out there, can I cuss? Well, I'm gonna cuss. We had shitty machines. We were only open like weird hours. We weren't open 5 days a week. Like before the pandemic, we were thriving. Like we started to get new equipment in the facility, those lights that buzz all the time. We got those taken care of. We got some rooms painted. We built out new things. Like we work with TIDA to get better lighting and electrical in the building. Like we invest in that building, and we invest in that building because ultimately the turnaround is it supports and investing in the community. We have weekend programs where we're teaching the kids how to swim, and just a place for the kids to hang out if the parents wanted to work out and they couldn't because they had to, child watch. We had basketball leagues. We were building up, and it was for the community specifically. Now, I'm not saying that people don't live on the island they don't come utilize the gym, but it was cool to see so many courts being utilized with so many people on there. Like it was just a different feeling to know that you're building things and you're attracting the community. Like we started our yoga class out there, our Zumba class, like all those things were just cool because they half-assed it a long time ago or didn't invest as much. And so it was cool to be a part of something that you can see grow. And with so many buildings and things crumbling around, it was cool to be growing up our program and like consistently being there for the families when they needed us. So
I love that. What were some of your challenges versus rewarding experiences, I guess, with the community and kind of like being received or not?
Melanie was one of the first people who accepted me being the new director out there, because I do think the YMCA broke a lot of trust within the community with so much turnover of the directors, or, the equipment not being, not even standard. Like it was like hand-me-down type of equipment thing, right? And it kind of was like, well, why should we come in here? You don't care. Like it's like some people appreciated the fact that it was free and it was there, but when I first got out there, it kind of felt like, oh, you're just here. Like what you gonna do different? Like what are you gonna say, or how you gonna change your mind, or how you gonna invest? And I remember like we have a family in a program that I was a senior director supervising Justin, that was the director at the time.
Mhm.
And one of his staff brought the kids to the Embarcadero for camp. Like, so we started to merge and give them different opportunities. And this kid was left behind at Embarcadero and didn't make it back to the Treasure Island bus. And the mom was so upset, rightfully so, right? You left your kid behind. And the fact is, not only the fact of that, and the staff didn't even realize that they left this kid behind. Luckily, he was in our other building, right? But that's beside the point. And so when we got out there, like we were promoting these youth programs, and I remember her coming up to me and was like, well, I want my son to do this, but I don't trust y'all. So I want to be here the entire time while he's doing this. And it was like a dance class at the Y, and then like some other art class. Like it was a session. And I'm like, I heard her out. I'm like, I understand. You are welcome to sit here and watch as many classes as you want. And it was just from her asking us questions and just sitting there, like rebuilding those type of relationships, to where at the time, I think he was in the 1st grade. Now he's in the 5th grade. His little sister's in our program. They go off site with us. We spend a lot of time repairing those type of relationships, like trying to work with the parent council to see what we can give back and how we can invest, like working with Dan to put on the Halloween event and really like putting money into it and not just being like, just showing up. Like we actually invested and like did our part and like invested in the community, building things up, providing opportunities. And then I think another thing that we did that I had to do is listen a lot. I had to listen a lot, because we had staff in there that did some crazy stuff before I got there. And like, I just had to listen and just continue to show up and be consistent in who I was in order to get the community to trust in what I was doing. And don't get me wrong, I'm still building trust. It's still not 4.5 years later, I'm still building trust and showing that I'm committed to the island and investing in programs and projects and building out new things. But it's a little easier now than it was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we'll throw an event, 2 people will show up. Now we throw an event, maybe 60 people will show up. So it's progress. And it might not be the same 60 people if we throw an event in April and an event in May, but at least I'm connecting with more people and just touch points and slowly saying, no, I'm still here. Yeah. This is what I'm doing.
And will you talk a little bit about what the Y did and how integral it was during the shutdown?
So when this is also, I feel like, why we how we rebuilt trust with a lot of youth. So before the pandemic hit, we probably had 8 to 10 kids showing up every day to after school program. And a lot of that was too, because there's only 3-4 buses that go to certain schools. And by the time they get from school to traffic, the kids are worn out or the families got things to do because they won't get to the island until 4:30, right? So although we already had these services, when the pandemic hit, we went from having 8 to 10 kids a day to 60 kids in the building every day for 1.5 years. It was a crazy experience. We were teachers, counselors, coaches, mentors, all type of things. And families needed a place to go. We provided that essential care specifically for the island or displaced families who were, in transitional housing and things like that. We provided that care specifically for this community, to where the families knew we were going to be implementing safety protocols and things to keep their child safe while they had to go to work or do whatever they needed to do. Or even if the parents were just at home and didn't have the internet capability or the understanding of how to utilize a computer, they sent them to us and we helped them with their schoolwork. We provided them with computers to go back home. The school did too, but they had like the school computer and an extra computer. We provided hotspots and just 2 meals and a snack a day. So we kind of did that to make sure we were tied into the community and supported them through what was a crazy time for all of us. And another thing we did that, so we have the youth in the hub, we also had a few high schoolers or families come and ask us to print things out, just even though our hub only went to 8th grade, we still supported like the high schoolers or anyone who needed to copy something. Like a kid came and built his resume there because he needed it for his school. Like, so we opened our doors in so many different ways. And we also did a transformation of like part of the youth program room to where we TIDA worked with a resident of the Island Hope, and they in partnership with her and SFUSD, TIDA decided to build a functioning kitchen and like packing space. And once Treasure Island did that as well, they opened up their space to do these kids delivery meals and things like that while the kitchen was being built. But that was another space that came out of the pandemic. Now that space is being utilized as a community space where families can come and have baby showers or parties for their kids and all type of things. But more and more people, because of what we did during the pandemic, we have 25 kids in our after school program now. And although we can't have all, we would love to have 60, and we won't have 60 because of the school and all those things, but it's still cool to be able to know we have them, and we'll see them again in the summer. Like they're already starting to register, which is crazy because we get to go on field trips again. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's one of the things we did. I felt like I did really well too when we came out there. Like before they did have camp, but it was like, oh, we're only gonna, not even when I came out there, like when I started supervising Treasure Island before I became the director, it was siloed. Like we had camp at Treasure Island, we had camp at Embarcadero, we had camp at Bessie Carmichael. And the camp at Embarcadero, because it was a paying camp versus the grant camps at the 2 other sites, were very different camps. And I felt like just because these families can afford to pay doesn't mean the kids on Treasure Island or Bessie Carmichael don't deserve the same experiences. So one thing that I did was start to merge the camps so that those kids had the same opportunities. And it was rough the first couple of years. Like it was rough, but we got through it. And now that's something that I think that we do really well. It's pretty seamless now. Like they know they're going on field trips. They know what to be prepared. The families trust us to take their kids off site. Like it's pretty good.
That's awesome. So as you know, there's tons of development coming. What are kind of your hopes and dreams for the island in terms of the Y, or just in terms of in general, what the changes would be like?
One, I hope that the Y continues to be a part of the island as things started to change, because I want us to remain one of the consistent things that families know. I think it's great that, it's going to be redeveloped and bringing in new people. But for me personally, I'm currently here and I don't want to forget about the people who have been on the island and will continue to be on the island. So my goal is to, yes, develop new programs, maybe have a pool, be able to have a teen center, like all these things, but currently continue to have free programming, assistance or help with the current community that's there, because they've been there through the transitions, and some of them are leaving, but a good amount will continue to still be there. And I hope that with everything and all the redevelopment, like that particular bunch, our population is not forgotten. So that's my current like hope for like the people and what we do out there. And as things change, I want standard state-of-the-art equipment. Like I think that's what the community deserves. Like I want, instead of yellow lights, I want white lights. I want more event space. I want to be able to throw more events. I want to continue to do, like, I think bringing that food, when Hope brought the food program to the island and we're advocated, I think that was a great thing. Like I want more programs like that. I want to be able to invest, like how we partner together to do like the Christmas stuff. Like I want more drives and more events and things like that to continue to happen. And I want the Y to be there. Like Treasure Island is technically its own facility, but it's not considered a YMCA branch. And that's one of the things that I am advocating for it to be an actual branch. So they know, like, we respect this community, we're in this community, we're here for this community, we are marketing for this community, and then like start to do fundraisers to continue to build out what programming could be. Like the possibilities are endless. It's just a matter of like getting the right people and continue to talk to the right people to make sure it happens.
Absolutely. Well, I know just from the work that I've done with you and on the island that people really, really value your work and the why. And it really has become such like a community center where people meet up and share experiences and feel like a community there. So thank you. You've done a really good job.
Thank you.
I didn't see it personally before, but I can imagine that it's a lot better now.
It is, and I appreciate you saying that because it's been rough. But
Mhm.
I like going to work now. The Y is a big organization that sometimes can make you feel pretty
Mhm.
small, and I don't feel small at all at Treasure Island. Like I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. These are my people. I love these organizations. Like we all got things to work on, but I'm happy that I get to work on them there, and we can work on things together and you know build each other up.
Mhm.
It's pretty
Oh,
cool.
yeah. Well, this honestly, I think this is great. If do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. No.
Okay. Well, then I'm just gonna push pause real quick and then we can chat, okay?